Instagram by Heather White. Poe McGulliver is a foul sort of man. He resembles a rake, his body contorted and bent at sharp angles. He smells of fecal matter. The matted clumps on his mottled cranium resemble toe hair, and his teeth wither and die, a green fungi slithering dramatically over them. He hates children, eats too many overripe pears, and is now currently sitting in his dank basement, a slight grunting sound erupting from his sharp and bony form. Poe McGulliver's shadow stretches over the peeling walls of the underground chamber as he turns his cracked phone on, his eyes twinkling with glee. He resides in a couch so covered in rotten pear cores that it is debatably more a pile of fruit than a sitting contraption. Poe presses his body deep into the depths of the couch until the pear cores encircle his body like a blanket. 3 a.m. This is Poe McGulliver's favorite time, a time when the whole world is asleep, yet he is awake. Poe twists his wiry hands around his cracked and warped cell phone and grins in an erotic fashion. It is time for Instagram. Poe has no real friends, unless you count the raccoon that he keeps in his musty closet. Poe oftentimes attempts to play with his raccoon. He sings it songs, touches it lewdly, and attempts to amuse it with acting. Unfortunately, the raccoon is terrified of Poe's spiky and twitching form, so it oftentimes violently froths at the mouth whilst hiding in a corner. At times like these, Poe is sad, and often again retreats into the depths of his couch and gazes at his cell phone longingly. Poe grunts violently. It appears that he has stumbled upon his favorite Instagram page. Created by a girl named Jessica, it features many delightful and mindless photos of Jessica thrusting her large glutes forward whilst pressing her lips together, as though tasting something dreadfully sour. The caption of the photo reads, "The darkness swallows the light, but I am free." As usual, the caption has nothing to do with her sensual photos, but Poe doesn't care. Poe McGulliver enjoys Instagram immensely. In one swift motion, Poe twists his arms dramatically like elastic bands being released and reaches towards a violently moldy bowl on the table adjacent to his couch. His crusty hands seize 3 overripe pears, and with carnal passion, he presses them violently into his face, all the while maintaining direct eye contact with Jessica on the screen. He shreds the pears in his mouth cavity with his unusually pointy teeth, and then shoots the pear juice gracefully up his nostrils, all the while commenting on Jessica's photo.
"Perf, Jessica. Wish I were as pretty as you. Sad face."
Poe sits excitedly on his couch waiting for a reply, his withered heart racing with anticipation. 3 minutes and 5 breathtakingly tense seconds pass before Jessica responds.
"Says you. You're so gorge. Love you, my internet friend. At Pola Pretty Girl 234.
Poe squeals so loudly, the raccoon in the corner growls in protest. The phone illuminates Poe McGulliver's face, and his countenance resembles a decomposing skeleton screaming with pleasure. Poe bubbles out of his couch, and with a demonic leap he scampers forward, excitement rattling through his skinny and bent form. He prattles up the rickety stairs from his dim basement, his body undulating roughly as he thrusts himself into his kitchen. Poe's kitchen is a horrible place. There is a half-cooked pig lying on the cracked tile floor. The deceased swine has several bloody bite marks in it, evidence that Poe has had a recent midnight snack. The countertops are partially collapsed, and inscribed in the side of the non-functional fridge is a tally of how many times Poe's internet friends have written to him. 289 little ticks suddenly become 290, as Poe's quivering hand reaches over, his long and grimy fingernails slowly creating another deep groove in the fridge. Poe thinks of Jessica as he stands in his curdling kitchen scratching the fridge. Jessica, his favorite internet friend, one of the ones he loves so truly. Poe wants to send her a new picture. Poe likes his internet friends very much, but Poe doesn't use photos of himself, for if he did that, he would have no fun on Instagram.
Smile for Daddy now, Stephanie Beauty XX. Smile for Daddy.
Poe grimaces at a teenage girl strapped to a chair in the kitchen, her terrified eyes screaming as Poe places his phone in front of her on the dining table. Poe McGulliver unties her slowly, his scratchy tongue against her neck, and she shakes, terrified on the moldering and withered chair.
Hashtag perfect. Hashtag pretty. Hashtag swag.
Poe mumbles into her ear, and a wave of nausea washes over the girl as his pear-infested breath bursts from his mouth into her nasal cavities. Poe slowly scuttles away and gives the girl space to do her job. He watches her with great pleasure as she takes photos for himself on Poe's phone, posing in a way that will give Poe and his internet friends the most satisfaction.
Good Stephanie Beauty XX. Good girl.
Poe slithers dramatically up to her, takes his phone, and with great ease uses his bony fingers to tie the ropes cast onto the ground around the girl again. Poe thrusts her violently into the corner of the kitchen and the chair, and she screams as he creeps back into his basement, trapping her forever in the decomposing kitchen.
Hashtag Women Crush Wednesday.
Poe mutters under his breath as he descends the stairs and then thrusts his flesh sack violently into his couch. He sinks so deep into its depths that only his eyes and hands can be seen as he enthusiastically posts the pictures of the girl from the kitchen.
For likes already.
Poe mutters under his breath, the air so cold it fogs.
For likes.
After 6 more hours on his phone, Poe sinks into a deep slumber, several pear cores penetrating his various orifices. Thus, his day is complete, and many more like this will follow. Poe has vivid and wild dreams of pears, his raccoon, and meeting Jessica. He's decided to meet her tomorrow, just as he decided to meet Stephanie last week.
We shall all be the best of friends.
Poe whispers softly in his sleep, his wiry hands squeezing a decomposing pear violently.
We can all be very, very good friends.
Skid Mark by Heather White.
Bro, like, Janice totally likes me, like, I think she might even want the D.
Charles grunts idiotically, phlegm bubbling out of his nasal cavities, putrid with tobacco and cafeteria poutine.
Bro! She totally wants the D.
Charles' equally crusty weed puffing friend decides, his mouth bubbling with vile saliva and stupidity. The two boys start cackling while thrusting their hips in a lewd manner and choking slightly on their diseased lungs. The sound of their hacking becomes slightly muffled as a nasty boy who resembles a toe drives his truck in violent donuts, his vile voice penetrating the air as he cackles like a donkey being shot. Thankfully, he only hits 3 dogs and 1 small child named Oliver. A barrage of screaming and foul language erupts from the crowd on the crusty side of the street, the excitement of the morning reaching a peak level. The truck turns around and quickly rips by the deeply foul high school, a place of girls who straighten their hair so viciously that it slightly resembles dead squirrels hanging limply from their carefully moisturized scalps. Several people mill around in a depressed state, the 4 hours of sleep they managed deteriorating their already suffering mental state. They funnel coffee desperately into their faces, their mouths frothing slightly with the effort. Suddenly, a wild horde of basic bitches strut by, this being their natural habitat. Their pumpkin-spiced lattes only slightly mask the stench of weed from across the street, which one foul male is currently smoking up his nostril. Welcome to Pot Perry.